I'm gonna go ahead and use this as a segue because I was gonna say is the only one that streaming services will work for it only because they stream it live, which is sports. I think honestly, sports is the last of you have to watch it live. You
Yeah.
have to watch it as it's going, right? Because if your team loses, which happened this weekend, anyways. But if your team loses, you're not gonna go back and watch it. Honestly, like you know what I mean. Like
You're
16
you're
is
psychotic if you do that. If you're like, I know the Saints just lost, and I still want to watch the whole game to see what happens. You're
now if they
psychotic.
won,
You're
yeah, that's a
weird.
different story, right? That's a different. Oh, the only exception to that I'll make is if it's one of those games that you lose, but it was like down to the wire. It was a back and forth slugfest. That's the
Yeah.
only one I might go, but I'll wait until the
Mm-mm.
end.
It's certain
I'll
ones
skip
who
the end.
no.
No,
Some of them are
But
too
even if,
painful. Where I've never the 2011 playoff game against the 49ers. I have not seen that game since that happened. I will not. I cannot. You catch me watching that Minneapolis Miracle or even the no call. I will never
nope,
ever watch that game again
nope,
under no
good,
circumstances.
nope. I'll see some like clips on Twitter and be like, good times. But
I
let me
never,
go ahead and stop this video
despite
before
the
it gets.
fact that, well, I mean, I'm the same because despite the fact that that first half of the Super Bowl was great football for, I never like honestly anytime it pops up, like if Twitter, I don't know, did you hear when the NFL reposted the entire game
Mhm.
and basically
Yes.
Falcons Twitter bullied the shit out of them and they ended up removing it because of they removed it, they deleted the tweet because everybody's like, why the fuck are you Which
I mean,
for
yeah,
Saints, for Patriots fans is one thing, right? Obviously, Patriots fans are like, oh, we don't care. This is awesome. This is like, but and they probably wouldn't do the same with with the what was it, the Seattle game where no, not the Seattle game, the Giants game. I don't know if the Patriots fans would be on there to bully NFL to not watch it, not redo it, but they just
But it was hardly the same. There's nothing quite like the collapse of
yeah.
that Super Bowl for us. I'm not so okay. I can watch highlights of a sporting event that has passed. I've seen the highlights of that Super Bowl since then. Just to like analyze it. But I
My realization is we sucked.
but I can't watch a sporting event that's not like live, like all the way through. Like for me, I'm like I could be doing better things in my life, especially if I'm getting in 30 minutes. Let's say it's a soccer game, right? And it's already 30 minutes in. I'm not gonna start at minute zero and start watching through because a soccer game could end 1-0. A soccer game could end 0-0. So I'm not gonna like sit through 30 minutes of potentially nothing. So no, I'm gonna like skip through and then catch up. And then if I completely miss the game, I'm watching highlights. There's no way
No,
I'm.
that's based on the sport because what I used to do back when I had a DVR. I don't even know if do they even still make those. But when I had a DVR, I would purposely, like what you said, stay off completely off Facebook, off Twitter, put my everything on airplane mode. But I would let like the Falcon game play for like 30 minutes because what would happen is at halftime I would fast forward
Mm,
them talking and then fast forward all the commercials. So I'm eventually live. I'm live at the end of the by like third middle of the third quarter to the fourth quarter. I'm live, and then at least I didn't waste my time with all those commercials. Although now I don't know if I've developed a tick with these Falcons or something like that. But I always have to be busy while I'm watching the game. So like every commercial, I'll get up and pick something up or put dishes in, one by one, wash dishes or something. I have to do something because I think they created a tick for me that I have to be doing something because I'm just like I swear. Oh look, we're winning 30-0. That's not gonna last.
yeah. I can't watch sports not live. I feel like there's someone in my life that's gonna spoil that for me. Like,
No,
oh
I
my
can't
god,
record a show. Yeah, I'm with you. I can't record a game. I can't watch
yeah.
a whole game now.
No.
Did you see that catch? How did he fumble that? Did you? It's always something. You're like, oh god.
It's like, God, did you see that? That's the greatest catch ever. No, I'm not. I'm like 20 minutes behind you, but
Yeah, and then you don't want to turn off your phone because what if there's an actual emergency and you missed it because you didn't want to get spoiled on a sporting event? So
True.
So yeah.
So yeah, it reminds me, and I'm gonna ask all y'all if y'all have something that y'all do whenever you get pissed. So my boy, and this is before I started watching football, but my boy would every time the Falcons game would when they'd lose, he would turn off his phone. At one time, I'm at work, and this is like we were playing a Monday night game. I forgot who we were playing because, like I said, I wasn't watching it back then. This is back like 2007 or something like that. And I called him. So my manager asked me, he was like, oh, how'd the Falcons do? So I called my boy because this is before you had internet on your phone. I'd call my boy, and then it went straight to voicemail. And then I was just like, yeah, we lost, because I knew that he turns off the phone every time they lose. So with me, it's usually I'll go like, if we lose, I'm pissed, but I'll take the kids to like the park or something like that because I'm just like, we got to get out of this house because I'm just pissed off. So I don't know if you have like a post we lost ritual that you have to go do just because like because your team loses, and this doesn't have to be just football.
That's a good question, Zoo.
Oh,
that's a real good one.
Oh, I thought you were talking about just Falcons because if it was just Falcons, no, because we usually play at 1:00. And there's still a lot of fantasy football left. So I'm just like, you know what? Screw them. I'm going to focus on my team.
Snuck it in. Snuck it in.
Yeah. Other sports, I don't know, man. You know what I usually do? If I've watched the sporting events like Newcastle United, right? If Newcastle loses and there's nothing else after that, I go and play Madden. Because more than likely I'm gonna win. And that gives me that endorphin rush that I've lost from Newcastle losing. So yeah, I get that replenishment from beating people's asses on Madden.
Man, Zeus say. I mean, Zeno say he gonna come out of it some way feeling good. Yes. Zeus, for your question, man, I got two. It's two ways of looking at it. Like pre-winning the Super Bowl, me dealing with losses, it really. Like, they stuck with me, but most of my childhood, the Saints lost every Sunday. Like, we lost a bunch, so kind of got used to it. But as we started getting better, when we would lose games, I basically would detox off of sports for the rest of the day. So it wasn't anymore like, oh, I want to watch the rest of these games. I'm like, we lost. I ain't feeling it. I'm done. Even somebody losing really wouldn't help me. Like, if the Falcons, like rooting against another team really wouldn't satisfy that feeling of loss. Post Super Bowl, they don't stick with me like that. We lose, and it's like, what's for dinner? What's next? Are we gonna watch this movie? What we're gonna do? The losses don't stick with me the same after being at the mountaintop. So that's how I'm going about it. Before it was detox off sports. Now it's a loss. It's like, boy, that kind of sucked. Oh well, on to the next thing. We'll get them next week. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ever like we'll get them next week. Not with this team.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I had like a slightly different approach. Like when Drew was at quarterback, like every loss like hurt, and it was just like we have such a great quarterback, like we're messing up our opportunity. Like I really just, especially towards the end of Drew's career, it was like, man, Drew's not gonna be here much longer. We got to win some games. We got to get another Super Bowl because I don't know when we're going to get close to one again without him as our quarterback. Sad to say that has been the case. Now, they lose, and I'm just like, man, they've nailed so many nails into my coffin, man. I'm just like, man, whatever. Just right here. I don't have one right here. Go ahead, just put it right there. Yeah.
You know what? Hold on. I forgot something. I'm sorry. I got to mention this. That's another thing that helps me out with this now that I haven't mentioned yet. That if the Saints lose, yeah, it sucks. Yeah. But the destruction and mere professional demise of Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, when they lose a game, it's just as good as the Saints win. So when he's getting
dude, I don't know this because obviously I'm not on Saints Twitter. Which I don't know if you guys are on this, but I can't stand like if you're on it from another team, you go on
Yeah, and there's trolls in there. Yeah,
It's
like
just
stay
I'm
out.
like, yo, bro, follow your team. Like, why are
stay
you
out,
over here
man.
like talking all
This
this
our-
shit? And
this our
especially when it's
area.
a team that, like, when, like, say, like we lost against the Vikings. If the Vikings start talking shit, I was like, oh, bro, you're still 0-4 in the Super Bowl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or like Buffalo Bill fans. I'm sorry, Buffalo Bill fans, but if some of them come out and like talk all this, I was like, you're still famous for losing 4 in a row. Like, it's just like, don't come over here and troll us. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you're not always going to be at the mountaintop to be able to troll people. Because like even with the Patriots, be like, yo, bro, your team sucks now. Like you guys are fighting for like, you know, y'all might lose or y'all might fire like one of the greatest coaches of all time. But anyways, to go back to my question is, are the Saints fans salty about Sean Payton? I didn't know that. Like, are y'all?
I will say it's like a solid fourth of the fan base that is with 16. Like, and honestly, like, you know, hell, 16 is my brother. I don't know where this came from. Like, one day he got the Broncos job, and like 16 was like cool, and then week 1 came and I get a text from my brother, and he's like, "Man, I can't wait to see the Broncos lose." I don't know where this came from.
So you love the 70 buckets.
Look, I was bathing in it. All right. I was loving it. All right. So yeah, I was like, anytime, I mean, I'm sure it's one of the funniest things. You know, I'm known for ranting. Easy said that Vengeful 16 is his favorite version of me because I'm just sitting back plotting, you know, this guy who was our coach for.
That is must-see TV.
Looking like, is he looking like Pinky? Ready to
take
over the world?
I'm just ready. Like anytime it happens where, and I'm guessing Easy has come to expect it, where if he knows the Broncos are losing, he's waiting for that text from me where it's like, well, bro, the Saints may have come up short today, but today's a good day because the Broncos, they lost. Because I don't want to get into no long, drawn-out reason why. I mean, basically, Sean Payton could have stuck around with us. And he's in a similar situation where it's like, well, he could have struggled and did all that stuff with us. He decided that he felt like he needed to go to greener pastures. Go ahead and take it to Denver. But you could have stuck around. It seemed like when stuff was getting hard, no more Drew Brees, you want to go ahead and take, you know, you want to bounce, you know, oh, I'm not feeling it anymore. Okay, cool. So now you got to lose every game. I see what everybody else sees about him. When he was our asshole, and I loved him. Now I see him for what he actually is, and I wish him to lose.
I'm going to say this. Speaking on what you just said, you know, everybody hates Bill Belichick, who's not a Patriots. Everybody hates him, right? But I've actually gained respect that he's still sticking to coaching without Tom Brady. And I don't think Tom Brady made him. I just think it's that both of them just aligned and were just an amazing recipe. But it's just that Tom Brady still had so much left in his gas. Because if you think about it, Tom Brady is one person versus the coach has to put all 53 of these people together, right? So it's a Tom Brady can elevate teams. Obviously, he elevated the Bucs to a Super Bowl, you know. But I gained a lot of respect based off of that because I thought the same thing. Because I remember, I don't know if it was you, but somebody, like I said, some troll came in and talked shit about, you know, on a Falcons page. So I said, like, bro, your coach quit because he knew he couldn't do it without Drew Brees. That's what I felt. I felt he quit because he couldn't do it without Drew Brees. And then he saw an opportunity in Denver because it's like, okay, there's Russell Wilson. I can maybe, you know, I think we could fix that. But then it turns out that, you know, I don't know if Russell Wilson has if he's done
permission to play.
The crazy thing, though, Russell Wilson's not the problem this year. Like, he's actually played some decent quarterback play.
Also, I was gonna say permission to play devil's advocate. He saw Denver have a bad season last year already. I mean, it's not like he went into Denver that was like 14-3 the season before and thought, okay, yeah, let me slide into an easy situation. Denver was already.
But Denver had a good defense.
It doesn't matter. They were still a shit team.
But the same thing with the Saints. Did the Saints have a good defense when he joined or no?
Yeah. That's the part that
when he joined, no. But the defense
when he left,
the strength.
Yes. But that's the part that pissed me off, Zeno, to what you were saying is that he left a team where we got ravaged by COVID and injuries. You got to realize we were a 9-8 team that was still in position to be a playoff team. Like if a couple things bounce our way with the 49ers against the Rams, we're a playoff team. So you're like, dang, if we could just be healthy and not get ravaged, this is a 10 or 11 win team. Obviously, he's going to want to come right back and, finish the job because this is still showing you that this is a good team. And he decided then was the time to bounce. And it was like, why would you bounce now when you see that there's still life left in this team? And he basically just bounced. He just bounced. And,
I personally, as a fan of many teams that don't win a lot, any coach that gives my team their first title, to me, that dude is forever
and
granted sainthood.
And that's
Listen,
where
I'll tell you right now.
That's where I was with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Apparently, we will never know, but apparently Carolina was pushing for him very hard, right? Had he gone to Carolina, I'd probably be right there with 16. I'm like, nah, fuck you. Like,
division rival.
There's 30 other teams you could have went to, right? You're not coming back to the Saints. I'd be damned if you come to stay in the division. I was like 16. This is like the best case scenario. The team gave us a first round pick for him. He's in a whole nother conference.
In the AFC. Yeah.
He's in the AFC. He's got to go against Mahomes and Herbert 4 times a
year.
year.
Against a team that y'all beat in the Super Bowl too. I mean, that's kind of how I would look at it. Because, like Zeno said, honestly, if we had won that game, man, I would have been like, man, I hope Kyle Shanahan wins a Super Bowl. He deserves it. But obviously, I put the majority of the blame of our Super Bowl loss on him than I do Dan Quinn. And so now I'm just like, I hope I hope that they continue to lose. They're on a 3-game losing streak. I hope that it becomes however many games left in the season. I really do, because I can't stand that, man. We lost easy. Okay.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, dude, man, he's out of my good graces.
And that's just where Zeno, to your point, like for me, I'm forever grateful for the Sean Payton era, right? Because he turned us from a laughing stock to like basically what the Cleveland Browns have been, for this generation, right? Like you see the Cleveland Browns on your schedule, you're like, oh man, they're shitty, they're not about to do anything. Hell, kind of how the Lions have been up till last year. Like that was the Saints. Like the the bags over your face. Like he turned that whole stigma around. Like we were must-see television. You can argue with your mom about that, but like, we had primetime games. There was like a different tone about the franchise. Now,
not only that, but you're still writing primetime games, I think, because of him. Because honestly,
well, that's what I'm saying. He like changed the way the franchise looks, and for that, I'm forever grateful for that. But I think it's a little crazy that we're just like, wishing on his demise, even though it brings me much laughter when they lose, because 16 is like right there rooting for him like we just won a Super Bowl. I'm just not in that, because I'm like Zeno. I'm like hell, if freaking Willie Green, who's the coach of the Pelicans, the basketball team, if we win an NBA Finals with him and he goes to the Lakers or whatever, I'm gonna be like, hey man, appreciate you for giving us the title, but because I mean, when Sean Payton joined New Orleans, it was rough. Like they were talking about moving the team to San Antonio. Right. The Superdome was in shambles. Like,
you make it sound.
You gotta give him credit there.
You make it sound so. You just sound so grateful. And all that stuff, man. I don't. I just.
yeah. I don't. 16 is one of those. What have you done for me lately? And
yes,
I can kind of respect that a little bit. I gotta respect that.
You need that to balance out, right? Like he's the guy you look on your right shoulder and you're like, all right, let's talk through this.
Funny enough, I won't lie. Usually, I'm the 16 in a bunch of my friends' situation where I'm the one, just piling on and talking shit while they're over there just laughing because I'm just. Apparently, I think 16. I'm pretty sure 16 is like me. He's hilarious when he's on a rant. So. But I was gonna do one last thing in sports because I was actually thinking about this recently because you know how you hate it when there's certain ex-players that do commentary for your team, right? Now I don't know how Matt Ryan did this week. He's fine, obviously, with the Falcons, but it sounds to me like he's a pretty good commentator. I can't stand Tiki Barber.
Oh, Tiki Barber.
I fucking can't stand Tiki Barber. I like his brother though, which is ironic, right? Because Rondé was on the Bucks, but I like him because he's extremely non-biased in my opinion. Like I don't know if y'all see that. Like if y'all hear that, like I feel like he's not biased at all. He's just like he basically points out if a player is doing something stupid, then he'll say, "Hey, why is he doing this stupid thing?" So I was gonna ask, is there a certain player? Which by the way, Sean Payton, I think something content. But anyway, is there a certain ex player that you hated as a player, but as a commentator, you're like, I can handle this. I'm okay with this.
Do you want to go first?
You're coming up with some good shit with these questions, man.
I try.
Yeah, I would say I didn't really hate him too much as a player. I say I hated the team he played for, but I don't mind his commentary because I actually liked him as a player, just not the team he played on. Troy Aikman. If Troy Aikman, he's a good analyst. He comes from a place of like I never feel like if he's calling the game, he's pulling. I feel like he's down the middle. Like he's just calling what he sees, which is what you want from a commentator. You don't want to feel like he's got a slant, on the other side. So
I don't get the hate that him and Joe Buck get. I
don't either.
I actually like
Same.
I'm gonna tell you, Zeus. I'm gonna tell you why the people who hate on him and the folks will laugh about it. See, if your team doesn't play in big games, of course you won't like Buck and Aikman because you ain't used to it. But your team's been to a recent Super Bowl. He called a bunch of our games. So when you got Buck and Aikman, if he ain't calling your games, they probably suck to you because you ain't in no big games. So
we ain't getting no primetime games.
But I'm saying you have had them call games. So I feel like it's a syndrome of
Buck and Aikman have called America's Game of the Week, and it was like Falcons and Cowboys or whatever.
That type of thing. So it's people who just their team isn't any good. They don't get no big games, and they stuck with like if it was like 2004, they stuck with like Ron Pitts calling their fucking game. So that's why they tripping, So there you have it.
That guy for me is Rondé Barber. I mean, another guy in the division, Hall of Fame guy. Couldn't stand going against him, right? Like kind of like how Cam Newton, even though Cam Newton's not a commentator, loved the player on the wrong damn team, man. Like if you would have played for any other team outside of the NFC South, like Cam Newton would have been my guy. Like kind of how like Mahomes is. Mahomes is not, so far away from our division. Love the guy. I think he's a great player.
You know what's so funny?
Rondé Barber's.
I didn't like Cam Newton as the player. I really didn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was good. He was great, right? He whooped our ass plenty of times. But I like his commentary on podcasts. Like his podcast, I've heard of some of his podcasts, and I'm like, this dude is a good interviewer. He's a good podcaster.
Brandon Marshall with the whole paper route thing is pretty some damn good stuff too. LaShawn McCoy, who I never really hated, but he's on FS1 now. I think he does a good job, talking sports every day. I forgot the name of the show, but I think he's done a good job kind of making that transition. I think Brady's supposed to be getting into the game, right? Like he's supposed to be doing commentary next year, I believe, for Fox.
Who's that?
So, yeah, I think he's taking Greg Olson's spot. Like I think Greg Olson's just keeping the seat warm.
But the thing is, though, I don't want to listen to Tom Brady. Like I hear him talk, and I'm like, you don't have a voice that I want to hear on commentary.
Wait, Tom Brady's taking Olson's spot? So he said.
Yeah, like that's supposed to happen. Like I think.
Am I tripping? I swear didn't he give the money back though, or am I tripping on that?
So what happened was I think he was supposed to start this year, but he was like, "Hey, I'm just taking the year off. I'm chilling," type thing.
Oh, okay.
And like Greg Olson's just keeping his seat warm, but I think it's gonna be him and Kevin Burkhardt that's gonna be like the one, like.
By the way, I think that's cap. You know why? Because I think he's not taking the year off to just take the year off. If I'm not mistaken, based on other stuff that I heard, it's so he can get trained, so he can actually train.
Oh yeah, which I mean, I get that. Like I mean, shoot, Romo retired and went straight into it, right? And he's been damn good too. Like
Tony Romo is very good at it. Okay, so the question was,
player you hated, but
former players,
and I'm assuming any sport, right?
Any sport.
Hated but like them as commentators?
As a commentator, yeah.
Oh, I don't have one. I have one that I don't like as a commentator. I think Jonathan Vilma is pretty terrible.
Yeah. Yes, he is. And I love the guy. He's a saint and awful. I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
get him out of here.
and he
Kurt
always tries
Morrison's
to
also
inject.
very bad. The
Yeah,
former
he always tries
linebacker.
to inject like some humor that like no like the other people in the booth are not catching, the people listening are not catching. It's like, all right, dude, like just call the game. You just give your color commentary or your analysis. We don't need your terrible humor.
Actually,
Now
so funny enough, Jonathan Vilma, I don't have a problem with. I really don't. I just can't. And he never played. It's
absolutely
Tiki
brutal.
Barber. I fucking hate
He's
Tiki
awful.
Barber's.
I've sent a verbatim text to Easy saying, "Wow, Vilma is just awful."
And what,
Okay,
and what
I'm
did I
glad-
respond with? I said I was just about to text you the same
Yes.
exact thing. Like
Yeah.
he's bad.
I'm glad I'm not like just being a hater or whatever. Like I listen to this guy, I'm like, especially when I see, at the beginning of the game they'll show who's commentating. I'm like, oh, not another Vilma game.
I will say kudos to Fox. Obviously, he's not doing like the games, right? Like he's probably in the C tier.
He's
of
getting
those guys.
he's getting your Cardinals, Cardinals Texans game. He's not getting
who do they have him paired with? Because I think it's somebody different.
It's him and Kenny Albert.
Yes, that's what it is.
Why is Kenny Albert? What happened? Why is he demoted? I get why things gotten demoted. Black lady, Jesus.
Pam Oliver.
Yeah, I get why Pam Oliver's gotten demoted, but what beef Kenny Albert got, man? Like, why they giving him Cardinals and whatever?
I mean, I don't.
It may not be that he got demoted. It's just that he got partnered with Velma, so they're just like,
and they're like,
we're gonna, you know what I'm saying? And I honestly, Pam Oliver didn't get demoted. I don't think. I think she got aged out. If I'm being honest, aged out. It's sexist.
She's not good anymore. Like the way she talks, you can tell she's just getting a check. Like I
she's like a teacher that's got tenure.
It's like she'll do the injury report and she's like, Kyle Pitts ankle injury, doubtful. So and so, blah blah. And it's like, damn, like you ain't gonna give no context. Like, did they do an MRI? Did they do an X-ray? Is he in a cast? Like, where's all this stuff that I need to know? Like, yeah, like Pam Oliver's just getting them checks, which keep getting them checks, Pam. But geez, man.
But in a different sport, one that does get a lot of flack from Braves fans is John Smoltz, because John Smoltz does like the big Fox games, and then every now and then the Braves will be playing on like a big Fox game, like Fox Saturday Night or whatever, and they're always like, "Oh, John Smoltz is always so mean to the Braves." I'm like, no, he's not. He's calling it down the middle. You guys are so used to watching Bally Sports every night where they are the Braves commentators, so they're excited when good things happen for the Braves. John Smoltz is calling the nationally televised game. He's not supposed to lean one way or the other. So when he's not leaning towards the Braves, to them, he's against the Braves. And I was like, no, not at all.
And I think that's like, speaking of that, I don't know how Jeff Francoeur just got skyrocketed into these national broadcasts, but I feel like he just got on TV yesterday.
All the TBS national games, Jeff Francoeur is on them.
Yeah, but I mean, he was doing some playoff games too. Like I said, I mean, I don't have Bally. I don't watch the Braves like that. Obviously, I'll catch them on TV, and go to a few games at Truist. But like, he just started commentating like a year ago. This man's already on the,
Yeah, it got to a point.
Kind of surprised me.
It got to a point where, because Jeff Francoeur is normally like the daily commentator on Bally Sports for the Braves. It's him and Brandon Gaudin. But it got to a point where there was a big stretch where there was no Jeff Francoeur because it was Brandon Gaudin and the Australian guy, Peter Moylan. Because Jeff Francoeur was being pulled up by TBS to do whatever the national game was that week or whatever. I'm like, damn, Jeff, all right.
Yeah, like his rise to stardom was shocking to me.
Yeah,
I was like, I feel like he just got on TV yesterday.
I literally drank with the guy at one of the UGA tailgates. He's like a random, like regular dude, and he's like, nope, you're on TBS now. I was like, all right, that's good for him, I guess.